Assalamu alaikum, dear students, how are you? Hope that you are enjoying this course. There are numerous topics that we are studying in this course, but I hope that once you have a grasp over each such topic, you will have a comprehensive knowledge regarding electronic commerce. So if you remember, we were discussing the topic electronic data interchange, or EDI. EDI is a technology which has been used on private electronic networks before the advent of electronic commerce. In EDI, we can generate certain documents in electronic format on regular basis according to a predefined standard. So there are specific EDI standards which define the formats of different electronic documents. So we may have a specific standard for generating purchase orders. We may have a different standard for generating invoices, for payment acknowledgements, etc. I told you that basically there are two important EDI standards, that is ANSI X12 standard and the other is United Nations EDI fact. So using these standards mainly we can create different electronic documents in predefined formats. Okay, then I mentioned that in case of EDI there is no human intervention involved as such. There is minimal paperwork involved and the exchange of electronic documents can take place very rapidly. So that is the hallmark of EDI, that it provides us an environment where the exchange of electronic documents takes place very quickly and in a very accurate fashion. Here I would like to give you an example. I talked about it in the previous lecture also, but it would be a good idea to revise that example. I told you that assume there is a big shopping store where there are plenty of items being kept for sale, and the owners of that store, they have employed the EDI mechanism, so they can give rise to certain electronic documents. Assume that it is desired that the pens of a particular brand in a particular number must be maintained in that store. So it is decided that every day when the store opens, there has to be a quantity of 100 pens, for that matter, available for sale in that store. So by the evening when the store is about to close, assume that 20 such pens are sold out, and there is a specific arrangement that sales for a particular day, they are electronically recorded. So if 20 such pens have been sold by the end of the day, then the remaining pens available in the store at the end of the day are 80. Using EDI, it would be possible that an order of 20 such pens is automatically generated in the name of a certain supplier of these pens, and then that particular order can be processed electronically on the supplier side, such that when the next morning the store opens, the deficiency of 20 pens is made up, and those 20 pens, they are supplied by that supplier to the store. So the store has again 100 pens available for sale when next morning when the store opens. Imagine that if you have made such an arrangement that for all different items or for many different items that are kept for sale in the store, you are using EDI, so it is extremely beneficial that orders are automatically generated to specific suppliers of these different items. They are got executed on the supplier side very rapidly, very quickly, and the delivery of such items is then very quickly made. EDI is a costly setup, but if you are a big store and if you have put plenty of items for sale, then you can afford to employ the expensive EDI setup, because maybe ultimately it is more beneficial to use EDI as compared to its initial installation cost. Let's take another example in this regard. Imagine that there is a company, say I name it ePens, that is a company which manufactures pens and ballpoints, etc. And it has made an arrangement that the sales or orders for a particular month, they are reviewed by this company on regular basis. And based upon this study, based upon this analysis, a sales forecast for the coming month is prepared by this company ePens. This sales forecast is then compared with the requirements of the raw material, and then accordingly a production plan can be devised or prepared. This production plan should be flexible so that in case any emergency order is placed to the company ePens and it has to deliver the finished items at a short notice, then it should be having this facility that the available raw material is utilized, and the raw material which is required, which is not available, it should be supplied to it just in time or very quickly. Now, the endeavor of the company ePens should be that it should have just-in-time delivery. Say it does not have any mechanism for storing the raw material. Say the material it requires for the packaging of these pens or ballpoint, it's a specific material. It requires that packaging material, and it does not have any particular warehousing facilities for the storage of the packaging material. So in this environment, it wants that the packaging material from specific suppliers, that should be sent just in time, so that it has no need to put all such packaging material in a warehouse and then incur the cost of warehousing. On the other hand, from the supplier's point of view, again the desire of the suppliers would be that the orders that the suppliers receive for the provision of the packaging material, such orders must be executed quickly, rapidly. It should provide an efficient, good services to its clients. So at both ends there is a need, both at the buyer end and the supplier end, that the mechanism should be, the mechanism for the supply of the packaging material should be very efficient and very quick. Assume that this company ePens is accustomed to send paper-based orders. So what happens, as you can see in the slide, a paper-based order to a specific supplier can be in a format order from ePens to ABC and company, and then you can see order reference AC8484, that is the order reference number, and then in the subsequent line you see order date 15/3/2006. Underneath there is the quantity which is to be ordered, so 1500 quantity, description superior red, that is the description of the item, and the product code is PC1075-R. In other words, the packaging material in the quantity of 1500 having description superior red and having the item code PC1075R should be supplied by the supplier to this company ePens. Similarly, another item, another type of packaging material whose description is superior silver in the quantity of 1300 having the product or item code as PC1075S is also being ordered through this paper order. Suppose that one day the company ePens and its suppliers, they decide that they want to use EDI. They want to become partners in EDI for the creation and execution of specific orders or for the creation of certain electronic documents. Then in that case, it would be possible that using EDI software, the production control system would review the requirements for the material needed to create, to manufacture the end products, and then accordingly it can generate automatically orders to specific suppliers. The code that can be written for the generation of electronic order, that would be in a structured format, in a predefined standard format. We can use EDI fact for that matter, specific standard, to write EDI documents. Just to give you an idea how an EDI based order would look like, I have prepared a slide I can show you. So you can look at the screen. The same paper based order, if it is translated or if it is implemented in EDI fact, then it would somewhat look like the one you can see on the screen. At the top you can see the letters UNB. That means that it is the beginning of an interchange. It is an interchange header, or in other words, the start of an electronic envelope. Then UNOA. Here UN means the control agency, that is United Nations, and its level A. 2 is the version. Then 8484 is the sender code, the buyer of the items, his code. And then 1149 is the code of the supplier. So that information pertains to the interchange header. This information interchange header, as you can see the words interchange header, they would not appear as such. I have incorporated these words just to give you a reference, just to give you a clue. Otherwise it would not be a part of the electronic document. Underneath you can see there are letters BEN0273. BEN0273 is control reference. Okay, then the message starts. You can see UNH. This means that this is the header of a message. Then 00001 means that this is message number 1. And then there is a word orders, which indicates that this particular message relates to the category of orders. 2932 means that version 2, release 932, and the control agency is United Nations. In the subsequent line there are the letters BGM, which indicate that this is the beginning of the message. Then there is a number 220, which stands for the message type code. In other words, it is the code of a particular message type. 220 here means that this message is an order message. AC8484 would mean that this is the particular order reference number. Then In the subsequent line DTM, it refers to the date and time. So it would mean that the information now is about date and time. 4 is a qualifier, which means that the information ahead is in fact a date, and then there is the date 20060315, which would be read as 15th of March 2006. 102 would refer to format quantifier, or that is the century date. Then in the next line there are the letters NAD, which means name and address. Then BY, this stands for buyer, and then comes the buyer's address code, which is referred here as 8484326. Thereafter there is the number 91, which is the code list agency, which would define the location of a buyer. In the next line again NAD, that would refer to the name and address, and then SU would stand for supplier. So name and address of the supplier in a coded format is being given here, and that is 1149646. This information is the supplier's address code, and again 91 is the code list agency. In the subsequent line UNS plus D, UNS would mean here that a section control is now starting, and D would mean that the details of this segment are following. In the next line you can see LIN1, which means that line item 1, and then you can see the item code, which is PC1075R, the same item code that we had used in case of our paper-based example. We are using that item code here. And then VP means that vendor part. This relates to the category of vendor's part. In the next line there is the word QTY, which means that the quantity 21 here is a qualifier, which would mean that this quantity is the ordered quantity, and then the number of that ordered quantity is appearing, which is 1500. Remember, in the paper example the same quantity 1500 was mentioned. Then in the next line LIN2 PC1075S VP, that would mean that line item 2 in which item code is PC1075S, and VP again means vendor part, and the quantity order is QTY 211300, which indicates that the ordered quantity for PC1075S is 1300. And then UNT 11000001, UNT would mean, it would indicate that this is the trailer or the end of this message, and 11 would mean here that is a control count. It would mean that there are a total of 11 lines in this message, and again 00001 would mean that this is the message number 1. And then you can notice that for message 2 again there is a UNH, which stands for the header of a message, which indicates that a new message 2 is now starting, so on. And then UNT would refer to the trailer or the end of this message. In between there can be certain information between UNH and UNT. So in this fashion we can have more than one messages enclosed in an interchange or an electronic envelope. After putting all different messages in this way, then we can close our interchange or our electronic envelope. For that we use the code UNZ, that stands for the trailer or the end of the interchange or the electronic envelope. One is a control count, and then BEN0273 that refers to the control reference. Okay, so that was an example of how an EDI-based order can be written using EDI fact. I don't want you to cover this particular slide for your examination purposes. I just wanted to give you a broad idea how an EDI-based document looks like. Okay, otherwise it would be too complicated for you to remember all these different details. The idea was just to give you a feel so that you have this understanding that in case we use EDI, then this is a particular code in which we write our EDI document. We can get our EDI document generated. Okay, next I would like to talk about the value-added networks. This concept, value-added networks, is widely employed in relation to electronic data interchange. Value-added networks are those third-party networks, those organizations which facilitate different EDI trading partners to execute or implement EDI-based transactions. Right? So they charge their specific commission or fee for providing this facility using VANs or value-added networks. It becomes quite convenient and efficient to enter into an EDI-based transaction. Value-added networks, they create two main files for each of their clients or users, and these files are placed on a centralized machine, and that machine is then accessible by each authorized trading partner. These two files which are created by the VANs, they are called postbox files and mailbox files. In postbox file, the outgoing messages of a client of VAN are placed. Right? And in case of mailbox, all those messages which are to be retrieved, which are to be picked up, they are placed in mailboxes. And for each client, each customer of VAN, these two files would be created and they would be accessible. I can show you an example in this regard that would elaborate the concept. Okay, you can see that in this diagram on the left side there are three food stores. These are the customers. So Superfood is a food store, then Best Food, and then Nice Food. They purchase their different items from certain specific suppliers. The suppliers are mentioned or shown on the right side. So you can see bread shop, then fruit shop, then vegetable shop, and then meat shop. These are the four shops which can supply food items to the customers, to the food stores. And in the center you can see there is the centralized setup or system arranged by a value-added network, and VAN has arranged the two files for each of its clients, that is both for the customer side and for the supplier side. So you can notice that the two files, postbox and mailbox, they are available in relation to each of VAN's clients. Let's focus in this example on the food store called Nice Food. You can see at the bottom. Assume that this food store wants to place EDI-based orders to the bread shop, to the vegetable shop, and to the meat shop. Three different orders. What would happen that Nice Food would prepare the EDI-based orders, and these orders would be placed in the file postbox. Remember, post box is the file where the outgoing messages are placed. Then the value added network, it would inspect the post box of nice food, and it would look at the interchange or the electronic envelope. It would unpack the electronic envelope and see the information placed there. Then it can repackage that interchange, that envelope, and place it in the mailbox of bread shop, vegetable shop, and meat shop respectively. So it would find out that this particular electronic document relates to an order to bread shop, this one relates to the vegetable shop, and this one relates to the meat shop, and accordingly it would distribute, it would place these different orders in the mailboxes of these shops. At their convenience, the bread shop, the vegetable shop, the meat shop, they would connect to the WAN. Remember that in case of this setup, a dial-up connection can be used by the customer side and the supplier side to connect to the WAN and to access their post box or mailbox. So at the convenience of bread shop, vegetable shop, or meat shop, these supplier shops, they would connect to the WAN and they would look into their mailbox. Mailbox is the place from where the incoming messages are retrieved. So bread shop would see that, well, this is a particular order for me. That order would be transmitted to the specific department where this order would be processed electronically very rapidly, and accordingly there can be an acknowledgement generated by the supplier bread shop, and that acknowledgement message again in EDI standard format would be then put in the post box of the supplier bread shop. Again, EDI would inspect the post box of bread shop and would then unpack the interchange, would look into the information. Then it would find out that, well, this is an order directed to nice food, and it would then repackage that interchange and place it in the mailbox of nice food. Now, nice food at its convenience can access its mailbox and find out that, well, the acknowledgement message has been generated, it is available, which indicates that the items would be supplied at such and such time, etc. Similarly, in case of vegetable shop and meat shop, again, the acknowledgement messages can be prepared using EDI by these specific suppliers, and these acknowledgement messages again would be placed in the post box, and WAN would look into these acknowledgement messages placed in the post box, and then from there it would place them in the mailbox of nice food, and nice food would then have the required information. So you have noticed that we can employ the value added networks, and using that the exchange of electronic documents can become very easy, it can become very convenient. There are two advantages of using value added networks. One advantage is time independence, which means that there is a level of convenience available to both the parties, the customers and the suppliers in this setup. So they are not required to simultaneously be connected with each other, to be online. Rather, they can wait. So it is possible that the customer side, it places an order at a particular point in time, and then the supplier side at its convenience connect to the WAN and read that order and process that order. It is not required in this setup that both are connected to each other directly at the same time. So we can say that WAN provides time independence. That is one advantage. Another advantage is protocol independence. Again, because WAN has this particular job of inspecting the interchanges or electronic envelopes. So thereby it can find out as to whether there is a compatibility in relation to communication protocols. So WAN can provide this compatibility, this commonality of communication protocols. It can inspect the interchanges and then it can repackage them, providing the compatible communication protocol. So we can say that WANs can be used to supply the protocol independence. These are the two main advantages of using WANs. Although you may realize that EDI can be used directly without employing the concept of WANs. So different trading partners, if they are equipped with appropriate EDI softwares, they are electronically connected with each other, then they can undergo the EDI-based transactions without using WANs. Okay, then let's see what are the different benefits or different advantages of EDI. So in the slide there are a few advantages listed. First is the shortened ordering time. So you may have noticed that the orders can be automatically generated in a standard format without any human intervention. So therefore the ordering time gets shortened extremely. Then second point is cost cutting. Since in case of EDI we do not need to hire much staff, we do not need to employ stationery, so all such costs, these overheads, stationery costs, the staff hiring costs, etc., all that cost is then cut down. But on the other hand, you should notice that initially in order to implement or have an EDI set up, you have to incur some huge cost. So initially EDI cost, setting up cost is heavy. But if you analyze, ultimately it can be a cost cutting factor. Third point is elimination of errors. Note that in case of EDI, the orders, they are generated automatically. There is minimal human intervention, so there are no chances of any typing errors caused by human beings. So we can say that our electronic document generated through EDI would be likely to be free of any errors, any typing errors, etc. Fourth is the fast response. Since the order is not paper-based in case of EDI, it is in the electronic format. This order, when transmitted to the other side, to the recipient, it can be then electronically processed through various stages, and this processing takes place very rapidly. We can say that the response to our order is very quick on the recipient's side, because the order can be executed electronically or processed electronically on the recipient's side. Next is accurate invoicing. Again, the absence of any human beings, their involvement in the creation of EDI-based messages or documents is not there. So therefore, the invoicing part becomes much more precise, much more accurate. There is no chance of any such error in case of EDI-based invoicing. EDI payments, where we are using EDI setup for payment purposes. Remember that we can generate different types of electronic documents in EDI. We can generate purchase orders, we can generate invoices, we can generate payment receipts or payment information. There are standards available for each such type of document. In case we opt to make the payment through EDI, again, that is a benefit, that is an advantage. In a coded format, the payment information can be transmitted to the other side. Say we can supply our credit card number in a coded format through the EDI setup. So the payment mechanism becomes quite efficient in this regard. These were a few benefits of using EDI over any paper-based transactions. The question is, can we apply this EDI concept in relation to internet? The answer is yes. Rather, there is a huge benefit involved if we are able to integrate the EDI concept with electronic commerce. But that is an uphill task. There are efforts going on to implement EDI on the internet, but still it is not a very popular option. There are possibilities, there is a potential that that thing can happen, but so far this is not a very popular thing. Just to elaborate it further, I can mention here that internet emails can substitute for the EDI-based message transport mechanism using WAN. So again, you may have noticed that in case of internet emails, we have the mailboxes and the post boxes available, which are provided through WANs. So internet emails coupled with specific protocols, they can be utilized for implementing EDI over the internet. Another possibility is that different trading partners using EDI, they may enter into extranets, they can form extranets, and they can use web forms which have specific fields which correspond to certain specific EDI coded messages. So that is again a possibility through which we can implement EDI on the internet. Then XML also provides a unique possibility, a unique opportunity to enforce the concept of EDI in the world. So you may notice here that we can code an XML document. We can have different XML elements in our XML code which correspond or which map to specific EDI-based documents. And then we can host such XML document on a web server, and through that EDI-based transactions can be carried out. So web-based hosting services which involve the creation of XML documents which map with the EDI messages, that can give rise to a possibility using which we can apply the EDI concept on the internet. Again, I don't want to take you into too many details. The idea is just to give you a broad concept, what EDI is, what WANs are, how EDI concept can be implemented over the internet. So you need to have just a basic understanding here, that what I require from you. Okay, next topic which I would like to briefly discuss with you is ERP, or Enterprise Resource Planning. ERP is the name of that approach using which different aspects of a business can be integrated at a single centralized place. It is again a very useful, very unique idea which is quite popularly being used these days. Again, you may have heard about SAP. That is an application, that is an example of ERP, using which different departments of an organization, their activities can be integrated, and all different types of information regarding different departments, that is available at a single centralized place, and the employees or managers working in an organization can access information about different departments, and then they can base their decisions on that information. Okay, I can give you an example. Say there is an organization in which ERP concept is being applied. there is specific ERP applications which are running in that organization. There are different departments in which this organization is divided. Say there is a finance department, manufacturing department, warehousing department, and each such department uses certain specific software to perform its specific duties or functions. Using ERP techniques, it would be possible that all these different softwares which are doing specific jobs in relation to each different departments, all these different software, pieces of software, they are linked with each other using ERP such that it would be possible for a customer sales representative sitting in the organization to know, to judge the credit rating of a customer using the finance module. Okay, I repeat. So in case there is a representative, customer sales representative working in the organization, and he wants to know that what is the credit rating of a particular customer, what he needs to do simply is to use the finance module, access that information and find out that what is the credit rating of that customer. Similarly, that customer's representative, he can also access the warehousing module and he can find out specific details about the warehousing, the things which are being conducted, being done in relation to warehousing in that organization. So again, the idea is that we can integrate different aspects of our organization, of our business at a single point, at a single place, and using ERP infrastructure, ERP facilities, it would be possible for people working in different sections, different departments to access this different type of information at a single place and make their decisions more quickly, more effectively. Okay, then ERP is not contemplated for general public use. ERP is a very specific thing. However, on the other hand, people are now generally interested to have the same level of information which an organization provides to its employees, to its manager. So there is a tendency in the public that they want to know that what is the information about the inventory levels in the organization, what is the information as regards the warehousing, what is the information about the shipment. So people are interested to have all this information on the official website of the organization. Okay, then since ERP is complicated, so integration of ERP with electronic commerce is a very difficult task, right? And another factor which makes the integration of ERP with electronic commerce is the fact that internet never stops. On the other hand, ERP applications, they are complex, they are difficult to maintain, they need upgrading constantly. So that is one factor that makes the integration, the compatibility of ERP with e-commerce more and more difficult. Okay, with this discussion on ERP, just having a broad idea, I would like to move to the concept e-banking or electronic banking. Again, there is a great deal of hype about e-banking these days. E-banking or virtual banking or cyber banking or internet banking, there are different names given to it. The idea is that there is no physical location of a bank. The bank is available online on the internet, and it offers, it extends or provides different services to the customers which the customers receive in the physical world without interacting with the customers at a physical place. So in the slide you can see a simple definition of e-banking. Electronic banking, also known as cyber banking, virtual banking, home banking and online banking, includes various banking activities conducted from home, business or on the road instead of at a physical bank location. What do you think? What are the different advantages of online banking? If you compare online banking with the traditional banking, what benefits or advantages you think are evident? Okay. One big advantage is that sitting in your comfortable home environment, you can arrange the transfer of your funds electronically. Okay, so electronic fund transfer is one big advantage. There are other advantages, and it would be appropriate if I show you a slide here. You can look at the screen. One advantage in relation to e-banking is that you can get current account balances at any time. So whenever you want a specific information about your account, you can access the website of your online bank and you can receive this information there. Second is you can obtain charge and credit card statements. So if you are using the credit card or debit card facilities, the monthly statements about any credit card transactions, etc., you can receive those online. Third is pay bills. So where you want to pay utility bills, say bills for electricity, for gas, for water, etc., you can use the e-banking mechanism for the payment of these bills. It would provide a unique service to you as a customer. Then download account transactions. So whatever transactions you have conducted over a period of time, you can access all that information. You can download this detail about the transactions online, sitting in your comfortable home environment in a very quick succession of time. Then transfer money between accounts. Where you want to transfer your accounts electronically, there you can use e-banking and the money from one account can be then transferred to the other. Send email to your bank. In case of online banking, it becomes much more easy for you to communicate with the bank using email concept. Manage your own schedule. Okay, you can receive the information very quickly, very promptly, and then based upon that you can prepare your schedule, you can budget your different finances, etc. Handle your finances from any location. Another very big advantage is that you don't need to physically visit the branch office of your bank. Rather, you can access your online bank from anywhere in the world. Apply for loans online. Again, a benefit is that you can request for loans through online banking. Relatively, the charges for interest in this connection, they are relatively less. For banks, an expensive alternative to branch banking and a chance to enlist remote customers. So dear students, that was the main discussion for our today's lecture. Let's summarize briefly what we have done today. We have discussed the concept electronic data interchange in relatively more depth. So we have seen how we can prepare an electronic order using EDI. So I have given you some information in this connection. And we have talked about value-added networks. What is the role of value-added networks? How do they provide time independence and protocol independence to the users? Then we have seen what are the various ways, possibilities using which we can implement EDI concept over the internet. We have also briefly talked about enterprise resource planning, ERP, and I have, with the help of an example, tried to elaborate the concept to you. Then we have further discuss the electronic banking, what is the concept electronic banking, and how we can benefit from electronic banking, what are the various benefits that we can make use of. So let's stop here, let's sign off. In the subsequent lecture, inshallah, we'll be discussing the supply chain analysis, the value chain analysis, etc. So till then, Khuda Hafiz.